Did you know that there is a world's strongest woman competition?
You know, I think I've seen it.
I took a look at the ladies who are in this competition, and I became immediately frightened of them. These are big, strong women. I mean, these women would be stronger than most men at any event.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If they just walked into a dinner party or a movie,
right,
it would be the strongest person in the room, right?
Right.
I mean, it's that kind of strong. And you know what's coming next. Everybody knows what's coming next. The world's strongest woman was stripped of her title because she's a man.
Oh, no.
Of course. We're back to this same old chestnut again. The very reason why women's sports exist is because we all have a clear and obvious understanding that women cannot be competitive with men in sports. Physiology.
On average.
No, not on average. At the highest levels.
Right. Yes. Okay. Sure. In the tails. Yeah.
Women's physiology does not allow them to be better than men who dedicate the same amount of time and who are similarly athletically gifted. And, you know, I've said before that men have no business in women's sports because sooner or later, some woman's going to get killed. Right? You can see how this would happen in contact sports. You really want men and women in a boxing match against each other? MMA? No. Right? But we have women's boxing and we have women's MMA, and those things are incredibly entertaining. And I love watching women's MMA. I love it probably more than I like men's MMA. I find it to be very competitive. I love women's basketball. Coming from Connecticut, I'm required by law to love women's basketball, but I find it to be a team sport in a way that men's basketball is not. Men's basketball is about individual talent. Women's they have to play team defense, the women's game. They have to play team offense. And for me, if you like the scientific elements of basketball, right, the real nuts and bolts of basketball, the women's game is far more entertaining, at least at the college level. I think the WNBA is full of a bunch of garbage. But women's college ball is wonderful. But you throw one man on any woman's team, and that guy's going to be the best player on the team. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. I remember the women's soccer team that won the World Cup. They played a men's high school team and got eviscerated.
Really?
That's the kind of difference we're looking at, male to female, right? When I say a woman will get killed in a combat sport, I mean exactly what I'm saying. Now, there's, for the world's strongest woman, there's obviously no danger of harm, but a biological male who has dedicated himself, his life, to lifting weights will be better than a biological female who's done the same.
So let's go back to boxing, which interests me because of how they do the weight classification. So if you match up a male boxer and a female boxer of the same weight class, do you still have this phenomenon that the male is going to be stronger?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. The interesting question would be, could a 220-pound woman stay in the ring with a 140-pound man? Then it gets
what does the delta need to be?
Yeah, and because there would be an answer to that. Men fight all the way down to the level of under 100 pounds. Right? These are little, tiny men. Now, they're gifted fighters who have dedicated their lives to the art of fighting. And anybody who's been on YouTube watching a street tough guy go up against a boxer by mistake knows only too well how much better at fighting boxers are than regular guys. I mean, it's the difference is astonishing. So, all right, a 250-pound woman, and they exist, against a 90-pound man, and they exist. All right, maybe you got a fight on your hands there, but you need a general rule here. And I think the general rule needs to be that this does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have women's sports so they can compete against each other. And that pool of candidates is logical. They should be competing against each other. They belong in a group with each other.
Mm.
Does that mean that no woman could beat a man at anything? No, doesn't mean that at all. But it means at the highest levels, they would have absolutely no chance. And you hear female tennis players saying this all the time. They say, not only would I have no chance, I couldn't even return his serve. Right? The men are just so much stronger and so much faster. Well, okay, that doesn't mean the women's tennis isn't worth watching. Some of the best tennis memories I have are Chris Everett-Lloyd against Martina Navratilova. I mean, that was a rivalry, right? They played great tennis against each other, but neither of them should be playing against men.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see a biological man getting into women's sports, I ask, what the hell is your motivation?
There's an interesting statistical phenomenon that's at work here. When you have two populations like that, men, women, and there's some difference on average between them, at the average, the difference doesn't need to be that large. But when you get out into the tails, like you are now, when you're talking about the elite of the elite, whatever little difference there is at the average is way magnified when you get out there.
Yeah, and even at the averages, we don't want to see it because a high school men's basketball team and a high school women's basketball team have no business playing each other.
Yep. Yeah, so what you're saying is, the difference at the average actually is not small. Yeah,
it's not small there either. But my real question is, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
What on earth possessed him to say, oh, I'll just compete against women? Because that's a dishonorable thing. And everybody knows it. And people get their noses up in the air about gender and all this nonsense. But if you really cared about women and women's rights, you would make the distinction in your mind between men and women. Because that's the very reason we talk about women's rights, the difference between men and women. And if you turn your eye away from this and don't call it what it is, a lot of logical things follow, and you're not going to like any of them. To hell with this guy.
At Words and Numbers, we spend a lot of time talking about what's going on in the economy and the government, but fundamentally, all of this boils down to one thing. The greatest threat facing modern society is a lack of civility and respect, that people who disagree somehow find it difficult, if not impossible, to discuss their differences in a civil manner. We at CiVL are interested in upgrading civilization by encouraging people to engage civilly with each other. If you share this idea, please join us by subscribing at CiVL.com. That's CiVL.com.